Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's Fatmata here from Traditionally Inspired Meaningful Art, and today I wanted to share with you the haul from my trip to Guinea. So if you've been on this channel, you might remember that back in the summer, all of July, my family and I went down to Guinea. It's in West Africa. It's where my family's from, Guinea and Sierra Leone. And it was marvelous. I'll save a lot more of like trip details and how it went traveling with the kids, all of that at the end. But if you're here for the haul itself, I wanted to just jump right in. There are things that I purchased myself, and then there are also things that I was gifted while I was there. So I'm gonna go through all of those things. I wish I had recorded this video closer to the time of the trip because I feel like the prices were a bit fresher in my mind, but I will kind of begin by just giving you roughly what the exchange rate was. So in Guinea, they use the Guinea francs, franc Guinea, and it was, I think, roughly 890,000 franc Guinea or Guinean francs for each $100 USD that you exchanged. So to begin, the place that we went to for most of the fabric yardage that I'm going to show you, we went to Medina, which is the actual big market space, and you can go there to go grocery shop. I mean, anything that you could ever need, you can get in Medina, but it is a ruckus. It's an experience. You just got to go prepared. It's just get in there. It's like tight corners. It's like being at a souk when I went to Dubai and stuff, but on another level. Anyway, my aunt took us to the area where there's just lines and lines and lines of sellers, vendors for African wax print fabrics, and they have premium quality. They'll tell you what's the mid-range quality, what's the lower range quality, and the price points that sort of meet that, right? And I was able to look and touch and feel a myriad of things. My mom picked up fabrics. I picked up some. The three that I walked away with, I actually think I did really, really well. It helped because I was also picking up fabrics for my sister because she wanted us to make some garments for her before we left. So that helped because I was getting to purchase fabrics, but it wasn't for me. But the three that I walked away with, I saw this one and I fell in love with it immediately. I love the autumnal colors in here. I love this really vibrant and vivid cobalt blue with those splashes of orange. It has this leaf and butterfly motif, but then in the background you also get this lighter blue with this olivey green color in there. I think it's absolutely stunning. All of the panels that I purchased were the 6-yard bundles. If you're not familiar with African wax print fabric, they're usually about 45 inches wide, and you can get them in 6-yard or 12-yard panels. I purchased the 6-yard panels. In Guinea also, the sellers, they might have some offcuts, and you can get it for really cheap for the 1 yard and stuff like that. So often you want to look at what it's printed as. So they'll tell you if you become familiar maybe with purchasing African wax print and then become quite smitten with a particular fabricator, then you can kind of look at that as well. They'll have all the stickers, premium quality, blah, 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 blah. But this was my first one that I wanted to show you. Love, love, love this color. Next up, I saw this one, and this was another one. I mean, it feels very Art Deco with this design here, and I like this really vibrant teal color. Is that teal? What color is this green? That seafoamy green. Again, you have this olivey green sort of color, that rust color running throughout it. If you were to look at my color palette, technically, I don't know if these are necessarily my colors, but it made me really, really happy, and it has that navy as the outline, so it's not black there, that's navy. I like that this one was a bit more geometric in nature, and I could definitely see myself doing something that's a bit more streamlined with it, just to make sure I didn't break up that design too much. But I'm really excited to get to use this. And then I was going back and forth about this, but I'm really happy that I ended up going for it. It's very different to like traditional wax prints that I'm used to. So I'll show you the design. It's more of a border print, so it's a bit lighter on top, and then you get more of the blue on the bottom. I love every single color in here. It has like this gorgeous true blue and yellow, black, rust, and almost like this golden honey color. And I absolutely adore it. It is definitely one of the higher quality wax prints. Like, I am feeling both of these and I can feel the difference. I'm hopeful that once I wash this, it's going to be one of those wax print fabrics that becomes a bit more fluid. African wax print can be quite rigid and stiff, and it often softens with wash and wear, but it is known to be a bit more on the structured side. But this feels like it's going to wash up beautifully if it feels anything like this. It's so much softer. You can even tell as I'm doing that versus with the other ones. Right? Anyways, you'd have to feel it. You got to take my word for it. So for example, this one is a different manufacturer, so it was more of the premium print. I would love to get a shirt dress out of this. As soon as I saw it, I was just dreaming up all the various ways I could make this into a shirt dress and use the border print in it as well. I'm just so excited for this fabric, and yeah, I can't wait for the day that I decide to cut into it. I got a couple of laces as well. I don't often sort of work with laces, but while I was in Guinea, I was seeing a lot of the designs that people were wearing included like a mix of their wax print with an addition of some sort of lace in it. And I was feeling it at the moment. I was into it. So if I wanted to make something maybe a bit more traditional or something that I would wear to like an event versus my everyday wear, I wanted to pick out some laces that could match really nicely with the fabrics that I picked up while I was there. So these are cotton broderie anglaise, basically, I would say, and many of them have like these little rhinestone-y bits every so often. Not a ton of them where I would, be too afraid while sewing, but just scattered throughout. So I do have to be mindful just so I don't like nick it with while I'm sewing. But here you are. So I'll show you one layer so you can kind of see. They have these gorgeous lace details. Again, my plan is not to make a separate garment out of them. It's really to incorporate it into one of my other makes. This, I believe, was a remnant piece that I saw, a lighter aqua sort of color. Very, very beautiful. This one feels much softer in the hand too than the one that I just showed you. A different print, a bit more geometric. And then I got this lovely deep burgundy color. Oh, I loved it so much. I like the design on it as well. I think I got 2 yards, of them each. And then the navy. I'm a navy girl. I love it so much. And I liked the design on this one as well. I also like that they have scalloping on the edges, so I could see myself using that throughout in my makes as well. So there you are. So those were the fabrics that I picked up while I was there. As far as prices for them, for the 6-yard panels of the wax prints, they ranged from, I think, $7,500 to $9,500, at least for the ones that I picked up, like in those categories, in those tiers of quality. So that was just under $10. It was like $8 or $9. And I think I wasn't computing the math quickly enough, right? Like as it was happening, because I was like, you know, some of the things I was passing up, but when I sat down, like after I got home, it was like $8, or even if, let's round up to $10 for 6 yards of fabric. Fatmata, why didn't you buy up the whole lot? Anyways, it was better this way. I showed restraint and I was thoughtful about my purchases, and I'm really excited about each and every single one of them that I have. And hopefully there will be other years we will visit and we'll get some other things. So I felt really good about that. Sticking with fabric, on like the second to last day, my aunt came over and she knows that I enjoy sewing my own clothes, and she gifted me so much fabric. It was incredible. Let me show you. I felt like I hit the jackpot. She was so sweet. So I'll show you each of the prints. This is a little different than the fabrics that I've previously shown you. I believe it's still a cotton fabric, but you're gonna notice the difference in them. Hopefully you can see how shiny, like the sheen that this has versus the matte finish on the other African wax print fabrics. I remember when I was visiting, my aunt was telling me that a lot of the dresses that she currently is having made for herself when she is shopping and getting things done are in this fabric, just because when they wash up super lightweight and have a lot more drape and flow to them, which I would imagine it would. So if you can hear it, it's like paper. You have to wash these to really appreciate them. You do sometimes lose a bit of that luster once you start washing it, especially machine washing like we'll do here. Back home, like we're hand washing a lot of stuff, so maybe you wouldn't lose it as quickly, but I feel like here you lose a lot of this luster very quickly. And this particular print, as you can see, is a purple and green, almost like marble effect. It is stunning. I mean, my aunt's got good taste, so I like all the fabrics that she got me. But yeah, so that is the first one. And then secondly, this one is more geometric in nature, also really, really nice. And here is the print. I'm very excited about this. So many things I feel like you can make out of this. As you can, like, you see how thin they like beat the fabrics, so it gives it that sheen but also like makes it super thin. Like this is 6 yards and this is 6 yards, you know. Then we have this yellow and black. Like, look at how cool that is. I'm so excited about it. Another more geometric sort of ones, and I think these are really cool because I could do so much with it. And you don't have to be too concerned with the pattern placement as much. I could see this being a really nice like circle skirt of some sort. This, I want to call it black and white, but it's a little bit faded, the coloring in it. So it's showing up more like gray and white. And this could be one where like the pattern placement could be really fun. You could play with that and make it more horizontal or striped. I was so excited about this because it has almost like a mandala print on it. So here's another difference with this brand. I feel like it's very different than the other Ankara fabrics. As you can see, the right and wrong sides do differ, whereas in traditional Ankara fabrics, you cannot tell the difference. Like this is the wrong side and that's the right side, and you cannot tell a difference usually. So that is a big difference with the ones that I was gifted here. So something that I need to think about when I am sewing them up, because usually with the Ankara ones, with the African wax print ones that I'm used to, I can do whatever I want, because if you see the underside of it, it's going to look exactly the same, whereas this might be slightly different. But let me go ahead and show you the print. So it's just really cool, and I like the coloring in it so much, and I think it's going to be a fun one to get to work with as well. Here is another really cool print. And you get this navy background with the splash of green and yellow throughout. I think it's really beautiful. The final one is this print. Such a rich blue in the back with this pink design in front. Oh my gosh, my aunt spoiled me so much, and now I have so many beautiful fabrics that I get to kind of dream up what I'd want to make out of them, and I think they will be amazing additions to my wardrobe or to gift to others and make stuff for my family. But I love them so much. Also, my mother-in-law gifted me some lippy fabric, and this is the traditional fabric of the Fulani culture, and I am so excited about it. I did not know what to make. I actually don't even know if I plan to make this up myself. I might wait and then maybe when we go back to Guinea another time, take it with me and then have it sewn up by one of the tailors. Or maybe I'll find something that's a bit traditional that I can whip up myself and make. It has these like silver flecks in it as well that I think was added later. I don't know how they do that. But you can see that it is sort of like stitched together. I don't know, can you tell that's seam line? So lippy fabric is hand woven on looms, so they're often maybe a foot long, right, in width, and then they are stitched together so that you can actually use it as yardage to make clothing. I'd recently discovered this when my husband brought me back some lippy from like a trip last year, I think it was, and I just saw them in the like 1 foot widths, and I was like, huh, what's that about? And then I had to go back and look at some of my previous ones, and sure enough, they're like seamed together. The process might be similar to an indigo dye or something of that nature, but the ink does transfer quite a bit all over your hands and wherever you sit while you work with it. So I do try and, you know, be a bit more thoughtful. And because they're sort of seamed together, just to help in protecting the integrity of it, I would probably want to line it, protect my skin from the color, but also line it so that I'm not putting a lot of stress and strain on those seams. And also I would consider something that is a bit more loose and not fitted that much, because I don't want to be putting a lot of strain on those seams. But I'm excited to dream up something to make out of this, and I was really grateful that she gifted me this. I also had some other fabrics gifted to me while I was in Guinea, and I found a tailor there that we really enjoyed. She sewed up so many garments for my sister at a steal of a price. Like some of the garments were for $10, like the equivalent of $10 here. And when I saw that, I said, oh, you can have some of my fabric too and whip me up something before I leave. And she was so good. So let me know in the comments down below, would you like to see a try on video where I can try on some of the clothes that I had made for myself in Guinea? And I can do a review on what it's like to get clothes made, tailor-made to you. And also now that I make my own clothing, sort of how I would rate them, any things that I saw that I really appreciated that the tailors did that I might want to incorporate in my makes, and or things that I'm like, huh, you know, if I was sewing it myself, like here's what I would do differently, right? I would be more than happy to kind of do a try on and share some of my thoughts with you about those made garments as well, those hand and tailor made garments that I got while I was there. So leave that in the comments down below if you'd like to see a video on that. I feel like where I really invested my time and attention as far as shopping when I was in Guinea was with trim. I love a lot of the like trim, insertion, lace and stuff like that that I have seen a lot of the tailors use when creating garments back home. And those are things that are quite expensive when I look for them here in the States. So when I came upon some of these stores like on the street where my dad's house is, I was like, oh, let me just pop in here. So I'm going to show you what I picked up. All right, so to begin, for example, I got this beautiful lace detailing here, and there's a lot of it. They sold them by like the 10 or 15 yard bundles, and I wish I could remember how much these were, but I think they were like equivalent to maybe like $5 or like $5 or $7. It was under 10 bucks, but for this much of it, pretty good. So there you have it. Love that. And I could see this being added on top of, like just to lay on top of something, but also as insertion lace where you can actually see through it. Then I was eyeballing this trim and they didn't have much of it, so I was like contemplating, should I get it, shouldn't I? And then because I had purchased so much, you'll see the vendor they just gave it to me. That was very sweet of them. So here it is. It's like this really beautiful baby blue, these gold accents all throughout, and like an eyelash lace at the bottom. I loved it so much. It has the rhinestones, so again, you don't want to sew through that part, but usually that's just hanging free. Next up, I got this navy trim. So here you are. It's a beautiful blue with that gold in the center. This is another one that you can sort of lay on top of, you know, a garment that you've already made, or use it as insertion lace where you can kind of see through it. I'm really excited about that. Tons of it here, and these are the sorts of things that I would love to utilize more in my sewing to kind of level up my sewing, add that additional level of detail that I've come to love in some of the designer pieces that I stock on Pinterest, and this is how I plan to do it. I also got this. I think it's probably not the best of quality, I'll definitely say that. I'm interested to see how it would wash and wear, but here you have it. I wanted something that was just like a simple gold trim detail because I wear gold the most as my accent color or my jewelry. So I figured something that was sort of yellowish gold would go with a lot of fabrics in my stash as a punch. So I got 2 of those. And while this is a very like bright in your face kind of gold, I wanted something that was a bit more of an old gold. So I got 2 different trims. So here is the first one. Here you have it. Again, very similar to like the orange one that I picked up, but just in a solid gold. I like that shade of gold. It's not too in your face. So here's the larger one. It's so gorgeous. I'm very excited about this. I could see myself using both in the same garment. They're very similar gold, but to have more of a pop in some of the sections here, and then to go in with a bit more of the trim there. I just think both of these bundles are absolutely gorgeous. Then they also sold like these bundles where it's just edging. So you would sort of sew this into the edge of the garment. So you can see here the top is just sort of scalloped because you would sort of sew within the seam allowance and just have this at the bottom. This print is busy, but I still do think that added detail would be really nice if I wanted to kind of level it up or put it in certain sections of a garment with this. I also got this trim here. It's like a rainbow with some silver and shiny bits. It has seen better days when I saw like the ends of it. So I think this might be one that I will see about just trying to chuck it into the wash even before I utilize it, just to try and get it as clean as possible prior to putting it in a garment. But I really enjoy just the colors in there, and hopefully if I can clean that up, then I could see myself using that in like some of my kiddos wear, and maybe some things for me too. Then I saw this burgundy bias binding, and I picked that up. there's oodles of it here, like so much bias binding, and these were so inexpensive. I don't know why I didn't get more, and I'm kicking myself because even with the best of sales at Joann, they're still like $2.50, you know what I mean, for a spool that has maybe 3 or 4 yards, and this is like so much bias binding, so much yardage here. And I paid a fraction of or I paid the same price, but it's 15 yards, so not comparable, right? Pretty nice. I then got another edging lace in this gorgeous red color. I was feeling red at the moment. I try to think of like what are the colors that I wear or that I have in, whether it's my African wax prints or some of the other fabrics that I have, and I try to cover those bases. So I got another red, and this is more of that edging lace detail there. I got more edging lace, and this one is thicker. Again, another like 2-inch or 1.5-inch one, and then you sew along the top here and leave that within the seam allowance, and then all you would see is this beautiful trim detail at the bottom. So I got this in like a beautiful royal blue color. And then I went with this navy. It's the smaller one, so about 1 inch in width. I also got that same edging lace in white. So I have them in red, white, and blue. I did not mean to be so patriotic, but there you have it. Next, I picked up this sort of insertion lace. So they had the fabric along the top and the bottom edge there. So again, you would sew this within the seam allowance, and then all you would see is sort of that lace detail in the center, which I really appreciated. I saw it, I got it in, this is red, it's showing up a little orangey on camera, but it's red. Orange, I got it in that true sort of like royal blue color. I got it in a mustard. I got it in a really deep burgundy, and then I got it in white. So these are all the same sort of insertion lace. So these two are the same. I picked up the red, and then I also picked up, again, this like, it's a deep plum, almost like maroon sort of color, leaning a bit more purple. So I really enjoyed these, and it's the same sort of lace detailing there. It's really nice on the edge of garments. In this same color, I picked up this. It's a smaller lace in a different sort of design pattern, which I really like. This is another edging, so I would sew it within the seams. I was trying to do some of my trims in the same color, thinking that if I were to incorporate it in the same make, I could, you know, have different variations. I could do some really small lace details, maybe along a yoke or near a collar, and then within the waistline seam or within tiers of a skirt, sort of alternate between different types of trim there, just to give it a bit of interest. I work a lot with mustard colors, and I like that. So this is another sort of edging trim in the sort of thicker depth as well, and I could pair that with the insertion lace, the little small one. As you can see, I got a lot of trim. There's a ton here, a lot that I've just shown you. So most of the trims were between maybe like $5 to $8 or so. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was, maybe the gap was even bigger because some of these were, you know, not as expensive. So possibly between $3 and $8, depending on like the quantity, the size, the width of them, and things like that. But incredible deals, especially if you think about it comparatively. I think because I purchased so much, I was like, whoa, that's a lot. You're spending a lot. And luckily I went with my mom, and she just was like reminding me, she's like, I mean, if you were trying to buy that back home, that's not a lot at all, you know? So while you're here, just get the stuff. If you feel like you would actually use it, just get them and then have them back home so you can actually work with them. So I was like, thanks, Mom. Thanks for the reminder. So that was really good. But yeah, I was very, very pleased with a lot of my purchases. That is all for my Guinea haul. I'm very, very pleased with the things that I purchased while I was there. The price was incredible. But yeah, it was a lovely time. I'm going to sneak in 2 other things that are not from Guinea, but from a recent trip. When I went to El Salvador, I wanted to show you what I picked up. I was in a particular store and they had some gorgeous, like, handmade, hand-woven, artisan, things, but I had to leave some of those behind. However, when I saw these, they are placemats and like coasters. So these are hand woven as well. You can kind of see they're like not finished on the ends at all, but it's so beautiful, the colors that are in here. And it comes with 6 placemats this size and 6 of these little squares as well, which I guess you could use as a coaster or a napkin and placemats. I think that's what it is. So 6 of each, and I think I got them for $18 a piece. I think that's what it was. So I picked this up because for me, I'm like, this is hand woven, so that's special to me, but also I could see myself patching these together to use as like the back of a jacket or something like that, right? So I'm super excited to have it. And yeah, that was my intention, was to sort of weave them together or stitch them together and then use them in a garment. So I got this colorway. I was super excited to see it in the black colorway as well. I have a black wool in my stash that I don't have a ton of, but for example, again, if I paneled these pieces together and use that as like the back of a really beautiful jacket, a bomber jacket. I'm really into the idea of a bomber jacket. I need to make one to know if I actually like them. But I could see myself patching this together and using the wool on the front, because I would probably want to treat this as a dry clean only sort of garment. So going with wool as the complementary fabric would not be a problem in that case, because I wouldn't want to damage the weave of this. But those are my sort of souvenirs from El Salvador, and I'm so excited to have them, and that the artisans worked on these, and that I can hopefully incorporate it into a make of my own. All right, so about the trip itself, Guinea was awesome. For West Africa, around that time of year that we went, July is gearing up for rainy season. We don't have winters, but we have a rainy season, and I was nervous about traveling with the kiddos for their first time visiting, for it to be during rainy season. I was also going to be meeting my in-laws for the first time in person since I've been married for over 7 years. That's wild. That's crazy. So there were many things. It was the kids' first time on an airplane. Like, I had many things that were like racking through my brain. Luckily,